So there's a big lawsuit going against Vince McMahon. If you're not familiar, if you're watching this, after the fact, go back, check the initial video on the channel. It kind of explains everything. Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Bad Vibes. I've got some news. Got a little bit of an update on the Vince McMahon story. So the woman who filed the lawsuit against Vince McMahon allegedly wrote love letters to him. So that's been in the news lately. I'm going to do a few updates on what's happened. So last we talked about it, basically this lawsuit was filed, allegations were made public, and a lot of bad stuff has come out. Vince McMahon's gone. He's no longer with WWE. This kind of summarizes it. So a woman claiming the former WWE CEO, Vince McMahon, abused her for years, and she wrote a love letter claiming he was her best friend and my everything. And this is where there's a twist. So so the lawsuit came right before he stepped down. Obviously, that was why he stepped down. So she said she was coerced to do that. That was some of the rumor going around, allegedly, that they forced these letters to kind of cover their tracks if something ever came of it. So the letter was in email form on December 24th, 2021, and it was basically her spilling her feelings for Vince McMahon. So this is her supposed letter. After almost 3 years together, it's like my life isn't even real to me unless you're there and I'm sharing it with you. And she also allegedly referred to McMahon as her best friend, my love, and my everything. The letter, which is 2,200 words, so it's not a letter, that's an assignment, was reportedly taken from Grant's laptop as part of an investigation on behalf of WWE's board. It is expected to be used in court filings. So the letter is vastly different to what is claimed in the lawsuit, and they're basically saying it's coercion. Plaintiff says, frankly, it's pretty disgusting that Vince's weeks late attempt to defend his horrendous behavior that he claims to this day has never happened is to try to showcase letters that Vince himself coerced her to write. His psychological torture of her continues, as is typical of abusive predators, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to go into all that. So they're also pointing out that the lengthy email was the 24th draft, which is seen in the first sentence. Here we go again, draft 24, which is even harder to begin after we spilled our hearts at each other a few nights ago. Basically, a bunch of love letters. So there's also an alleged text exchange the Post obtained. It showed a conversation between McMahon and the plaintiff 3 days prior to the alleged letter. She had gotten surgery on her left index finger, and McMahon allegedly responded, "Damn it, sorry, baby," with 2 heart emojis. "How will I write your letter?" She responded in the first 4 follow-up texts. "I can type it and read it, or try to write it out in a couple days. I'm so sorry if I messed this up. I want you to have a nice letter." So the text exchange was not included in the lawsuit. She also added pop culture material to the previous letters. That's strange. The argument is still they were allegedly using this employee to negotiate contracts or offer her as a prize almost to certain employees. McMahon is denying that. They also named John Laurinaitis as a co-defendant. So he was, if I remember correctly, he was like the #1 person in charge of hiring people. So that would probably track with what they're claiming. So the current president of WWE, this just came out. This was today, April 3rd. So Nick Khan comments on the Vince McMahon accusations. So he didn't say much on an interview focused on the new deal with Netflix, but he did call them obviously horrific and serious. Yeah, bad time for all this to come out from a business perspective. All these Well, yeah, this came out right after the Netflix announcement. So Netflix is like, yay. And then they're like, oh God, what did we do? And that's when Vince left. Let's see if it has anything new here. So Nick Khan is, he's one of the main people. He's the WWE president. And so her lawsuit against WWE, McMahon, and Laurinaitis came out it says right before the partnership with Netflix was announced. It came out after. Either way, it was around the same time. And let's see, they asked if it would have killed the deal if the allegations had come out earlier. He says, I don't know about killed, but it certainly wouldn't have helped. Yeah, no shit. So those allegations are obviously horrific and serious. And we take them and interpret them I think the same way every other reasonable person or organization would take them. And you saw the quick resignation. So Khan said Netflix did not tell WWE or TKO to make McMahon resign, and that Vince was no longer involved with the company in any way. So it's hard for him, the reporter Baloney, he says it's hard for him to believe that McMahon would simply just walk away. And the response was, by the way, he chose to resign. There was no litigation. There was no threatened litigation. Well, he says McMahon got a lot of money as a result of the sale to the parent company. Khan agrees. Obviously, he got a ton of money from that. I believe he may be a billionaire at least. So, yeah, they kind of dodged the questions. Vince McMahon has this lawsuit against him as WrestleMania approaches. Is it really relevant to WrestleMania? At this point, probably not. He's not with the company anymore. He's barely been with the company. He's already been thrown out once. He came back and got thrown out again when this came back. So, yeah, he's done. So as WWE prepares for WrestleMania, its biggest show of the year, the company and its former leader, Vince McMahon, are still dealing with a scandal highlighted by a lawsuit in January alleging lots of bad stuff, very bad stuff. So McMahon is no longer with the company he helped found and then ran for more than 4 decades. This will be the first WrestleMania without him running the show. So here's a rundown of how we got here. The summary is Vince McMahon has owned the company. His father founded it, and Vince bought the company, which was then WWF in 1982 from his father. And he created WrestleMania in 1985, which was a pretty novel idea. That was one of the first, maybe the first pay-per-view event. It was a closed circuit TV. Yeah, I don't think pay-per-view existed yet. It was just called CCTV. The equivalent of an online concert in the 80s, an online show. You had to pay tickets to see it on your television. Made lots of money off WrestleMania, and it was a private company up until 1999. I remember when they went public. It was so weird. It's like a bunch of wrestlers ringing the bell at the stock exchange. Yeah, he has been with the company up until 2023 when he was forced out. He did come back in 2023 to help facilitate the sale of the company to Endeavor, which merged WWE and UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, into TKO. Get it? Because knockouts. So that brought McMahon back. He was chairman of the TKO board, and along with a few other people. And that didn't last very long. So as we were just saying, they announced the Netflix deal. Netflix is all like, yay! And then this lawsuit came out, and Netflix had to be like, oh God, what have we done? Luckily, McMahon quickly left, and several other people mysteriously left the company leading up to that and shortly after. So read into that as what you may. So in January, a lawsuit was filed against McMahon, as we were just saying, and the former executive John Laurinaitis, who, if I remember correctly, he was like head of talent. Like he was in charge of hiring and firing everybody. So he was, very integral to the company and very in the trenches, so to speak. So the suit claims McMahon offered her a WWE job, which she alleges quickly became dependent on a sexual relationship with him, and she felt trapped over fear of repercussions. And so this lasted from 2019 to 2022. She was put through extreme cruelty and degradation, including injury. One of the main things we said was that McMahon used her as an incentive for an unnamed WWE wrestler to re-sign with the company. So you may recall in the last video, they were very specific and said it was a former MMA champion. When you think of the time frame and who that could have been, it was either Brock Lesnar or Ronda Rousey. Wonder who it was. I don't know. Nobody knows. Speculation. The lawsuit additionally claims that he pressured her to sign an NDA in early 2022 and leave the company. And that's about when he left and these things were starting to surface. And they start sweeping it under the rug, so to speak. Ultimately, she signed an NDA for $3 million and received $1 million in February, but claims in the lawsuit she did not receive the remaining balance. And the lawsuit also claims the original anonymous tip to the WWE board about the payments was about this relationship. So that was part of it. He was in a lot of trouble. And that could have become a federal thing because it's a, like I was saying, he took the company public and he was using company funds to, use this hush money. So that may still come back to become a problem. So, of course, McMahon denied the allegations, calling them replete with lies. That was his statement. And he resigned from his positions with TKO one day after the suit was filed. And then a lawyer for Laurinaitis also denied the allegations and claimed he was a victim to McMahon. So they're going to throw him under the bus to save themselves. So had they respond to the lawsuit, they're just like, oh, that's bad. We didn't know. I'm sure they didn't. So is anyone else involved? So in March, Front Office Sports reported the names of 4 key figures in the lawsuit. The lawsuit does not allege that they had knowledge, but it does claim at least 2 of them. Nick Khan, who made the previous statement, and the COO, Brad Bloom, were aware of a relationship, and so they're referred to as numbered corporate officers in the suit. The lawsuit also claims McMahon told Grant that Khan and Bloom were the 2 people she should contact about the NDA in the future. WWE said in a statement that Khan and Bloom did not have any knowledge of the specific allegations. So it's still ongoing, and yeah, like I just mentioned, he was served with a grand jury subpoena and federal search warrant in 2023. Not good from a business standpoint. Let's see. So that was over those allegations, and they also settled some other things. Heavily rumored thing with a former female referee, like that was rare back in the day. That was in 1986. So there was a settlement there. So what have people around WWE said about the situation? I've heard a few things come out. Like that's probably been some of the awkward stuff. So we're leading up to WrestleMania. They're all doing press tours, all the wrestlers, other people. And of course these questions are coming up. And so that came up recently with Becky Lynch. That's one of the top female wrestlers. She said that she struggled to absorb what she called horrendous allegations. Fair enough. So his son-in-law, Paul Triple H Levesque, he's largely dodged questions about the lawsuit that came up in a media event. His response was, quote, "I choose to focus on the positive. Yes, there's a negative, but I want to focus on that and keep it to that." Asked what WWE was doing to make sure people in power couldn't exploit those below them, Levesque replied, "I'll give you the most generalized answer I can. Everything possible. That is a very important thing to us. It is simple as everything possible." Probably the most corporate answer that could have been given. Keep in mind, that's his son-in-law. I'm very curious to see if he'll still be in the company after WrestleMania. Honestly, I'm a Triple H fan, so I hope he hasn't done anything awful. Sounds like a lot of people have. And yeah, I mean, nobody's said anything directly. There's Cody Rhodes calling it a dark cloud. Let's see. Yeah, Ronda Rousey has a book coming out, and she specifically took aim at McMahon. And her quote says, "It's hard sometimes to know where the evil, unethical slimeball character Vince McMahon played out for the camera ends, and the actual questionably ethical and many times sued and multiple times accused of misconduct Vince McMahon begins. That blurred line between character and reality is a recurring theme within the WWE universe." Yeah, I mean, go back to the previous video. Like I talked about some of the storylines, like it's freaking gross. He had a storyline where, he had an affair in front of his comatose wife, made Trish Stratus get on her knees and bark at him like a dog. I mean, it's messed up stuff. I mean, there was no storyline reason to do any of that. So that's where we're at now. It hasn't progressed a whole lot. I can't remember when the trial actually happens. I don't know if it's been announced. I do remember the only other quote I remember that wasn't in this article, I think Randy Orton, part of the WrestleMania press tour, I believe, talking to him, and he's been with the company a long time, like 20 years, I believe. So he was pretty upset about it. He's just like, yeah, he's like, this guy made me, but turns out he's a piece of crap. So he felt pretty conflicted over that, it seemed. So yeah, the character is a villain, and it turns out the real life version is also probably a villain. So that sucks. Let's go enjoy WrestleMania.